It's definitely not just about agencies and professionals getting up here and speaking. It's very important for you guys as Shopify merchants to hear from other Shopify merchants. So with that in mind, I'm going to have a conversation with Bianca from Ginger Bee. Bianca's agreed to join us sort of a little last minute, so we're going to kind of do this in a fireside chat kind of informal interview kind of way. Yeah, come here and sit here, Bianca. And Scott, could you pass the corded mic over, please? So Bianca's got an interesting story, and it's quite a relevant one. For those of you who were here at our last event, one of the things that was touched on by one of our guests from Shopify itself was the fact that a lot of people have bricks and mortar stores. So bricks and mortar's not dead. It's still happening. He was actually talking around how you can use the bricks and mortar store to drive traffic to your website, use your website to drive traffic to your bricks and mortar store. If you haven't got your own store, about using pop-up stores and having a physical presence in the market as well as being online. So we'll get to this. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but Bianca does have bricks and mortar stores, even though she started as a Shopify online merchant. So welcome, Bianca. Thank you so much for joining us at last minute, and we really appreciate you having a conversation with us. Now, we've just put together a few slides so you guys can sort of see and get an idea of Ginger Bee, but I'll stop talking once I've asked you this question. Can you tell us a little bit about Ginger Bee, when and how you started up the business and what you offer?
Okay, so I started the business about 6 years ago, and really it's been sort of a combination of harnessing all the things that I'm really passionate about, all my natural skills, and sort of formulating them into something that I could do as a business and love it every single day. So to give you a bit of background, I'm a qualified naturopath, so I've come from a natural health industry, but then in my personal life I'm also a real food lover, wine lover, you know, all the rest. So I've kind of tried to combine these aspects, and together with a bit of a lifelong love of gifting. Like even as a child I loved gifting, and just the joy of sort of doing something really thoughtful for somebody and seeing how someone's face lights up from it. In terms of kind of the spark, I sort of saw an opportunity some time ago. So my natural health background, I was working in London for a few years and worked in an amazing place there where I managed a team in a sort of a whole food space. And while I was there, I realised this sort of luxury lifestyle that people were leading around that sort of field, if you like. And I came back to Australia and it was just non-existent. So that's where I think I saw that sort of... It
was all dreadlocks and patchouli and Fremantle kind of
hippie,
thing.
Yes. So to sort of be Notting Hill and, you know, walking that lifestyle with people embracing it in a really sophisticated way was where I saw this sort of opportunity. And that's something that I'd always believed, but I didn't know why anyone else couldn't elevate those notions to something a bit more sort of trendy. So that's part of the spark that sort of drove that.
So there's a good side note here, and we'll touch on this more later, is that Bianca has a real sort of niche and an authenticity in her business because it's come from a personal passion. So that's a really, really interesting one. So can you just tell us how you found and chose Shopify in the first place? Like what led you to use this platform?
Yep. So I started very kind of grassroots. I did all my research from scratch. There was none of this kind of little workshops and things to learn from.
More's the pity.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a lot longer than some other people might have. But no, so I tried quite a few platforms, and it was a real trial and error process that took time. And you know, some were either too simple or some were too complex, and then eventually I found Shopify. And I was
you can name names of the ones that didn't make it if you like. We don't mind.
The ones that didn't make the cut were...
Wow.
So I started with Wix and found that far too basic. It was sort of okay initially, but yeah, didn't really cut it. And then tried WordPress, and I just found that interface a bit more difficult without having that skill set of sort of knowing the back end of running a website. But yeah, came across Shopify and I was like, this is a lot easier to use. It's easier to upload images. There's so many different things you can choose from, and it was just, it was really convenient. Plus the support that was there was a real asset as well. And I liked that there was lots of different themes that you could just choose from and kind of slot the information into and trial them out.
So can you tell us the part of your story around starting as an e-commerce business and where you are now, and sort of the synergies between bricks and mortar and on online?
Yes, okay. So it started very small scale, like home-based business, just started a family, very challenging. And then quite early on was thrown this incredible opportunity, which was to join the State Buildings, which was the previous slide. So that was before it was even built or finished. So I kind of got discovered at an event, and then it sort of the ball went rolling from there. So it sort of was one of those opportunities I'd always wanted to open my own store, and then this opportunity came sooner than anticipated, and I just jumped in. So that's how we progressed to having that space there, which has been incredible, and it's really inevitably ended up growing our business, even though it kind of was thrown in the deep end.
So a lot of your growth has come from the fact that you've got bricks and mortar, whereas online allows you to sell across the country away from Perth where your store is.
Yeah, but that's where it's been beneficial too. So, we have a lot of customers will come into the shop, and then the fact that you can say to them, we also, have all our gifts online, and you can have them sent anywhere around Australia, and we even do some international as well. And people just like, oh, great. And so then you get that extra level of sort of marketing there as well. And also the fact that the Shopify has the point of sale option from the retail side of it, the bricks and mortar side of it, meant that it just all integrates.
And you're running the Shopify POS, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. So I've got 2 locations now, and they've both got the Shopify POS on there. Yeah.
Awesome. And how do you go about driving traffic to your website?
Okay, so not as well as what Bonfire were discussing. Still a learning curve.
That goes without saying. It's okay.
Still learning those things, especially when you do wear all the hats when you run your own business. So it's you're trying to do little bits of everything, and you're not an expert in anything.
And how old was your little girl when you opened your first store?
She was a newborn.
Yeah.
Which
is something we hear a lot.
I had another one that was 3, so yeah.
Which is something we hear a lot at these events. Like there's lots of really mums with a hell of a lot on their plates in their businesses and at home who are starting these businesses and getting into online selling. It's awesome. It's amazing.
So yeah, was it driving? How do I drive?
Yeah, how are you driving traffic?
So we do a little bit, from our social channels. So Instagram's a really effective one for us because it's all aesthetic driven. So it's all products and, things that look really beautiful, as well as, the quality of the products. So as a medium for us, it makes sense because it's visual and people want to see it. So we do find, and, when you look at your Shopify analytics, you can see where your social referrals are coming from. It's like 95% Instagram, a tiny bit of Facebook. So that's a key.
Is that
driver.
reflective of your effort into those 2 channels, or not completely?
A bit, yeah. So I don't nurture the Facebook as much, but then we've got a bigger following on Instagram. But and even just you kind of governed by your own behaviours. So mine is more that platform as well. So
sure.
So that's one driver. So it sort of drives some online sales, but also some people come into the store after seeing something they've seen on Instagram. So it works both ways. I just had someone's little ka-ching. Did someone just get a sale? I know that familiar sound. Is it me? I hope so.
There you go. Where's the red light and the dinging bell? We need a big one.
I love that sound.
You would.
Sorry, I got very sidetracked by that. Thinking
that's okay.
Turn my phone on.
And you spoke about you do quite a lot of events.
Yeah. So also, ours is very your basic level marketing, I guess. So it's face to face, so talking to customers in the shop, giving them our cards, but then also events as well. So I've done Gourmet Escape down south a few times, and that's very much brand awareness. So associating yourself with the same demographic of the people that are going to likely buy your products. And also, corporate contacts, because that's another key area in terms of the gift hampers. So every time someone gets one of our gift boxes, it's got our URL in there and it's got our card. So you're getting multiple touch points. So someone already knows you because they've bought a gift, but then the recipient's seeing it as well. So that's one way of driving some of the traffic. And
it's a good idea to think of that sort of thing as the experience people are having around your brands, that if you do have a physical presence, they're getting to engage personally, but even if you don't, when they're getting your products in the mail, like how do they look and what sort of personality are you communicating when they arrive, which was another thing that I think Josh touched on with that, is the Allbirds sneaker brand in New Zealand have a really nice personality and experiential side to the business when they're delivering the products to people.
And I just thought of something else as well, that with having our products be tangible for people, I mean, not everyone's coming into the store, but for those that are, it's quite rare to see that with a gift hamper. So generally speaking, they've always been online type of businesses. I know there's a couple of others in Perth that have a physical presence as well, but just the fact that once people physically see it and they see the quality, that in itself is a converter. So you see people's faces light up and then they talk to their friends, and then it's generating, sometimes not so measurably, but it's generating word of mouth.
That's a big point of difference for your business as well in that space. Yeah. So what do you focus on when people are landing on your site in regards to your content, imaging, messaging? What's your I really like the Ginger Bee positioning line, the slogan. What is it again?
Gifts for the green and gorgeous.
Yeah, I just really like that. It's got a lot of personality and it kind of sums up what they do, and it's quite memorable. But anyway, what are you doing with the content on your site to make the experience better and retain when they land? Yeah,
so I just recently, I know there's some pictures up now, but I only just recently redid our theme. So it's been the same for a few years.
Have we got your homepage? Oh, I won't have an old one, no. What's the better one?
Oh, the homepage sort of had the state buildings on it, but yeah. So really, I've gone with much bigger images to give that sort of, like, the images are the driving part of it. So the aesthetic, showing the luxury of the goods, and I've also introduced doing once you actually click in on one of the hampers, it shows you the box made up as well as, this sort of flat lay style. So you get to see that.
Some different angles on the same products.
Yeah, but also how it's packaged and how the person receiving it is going to find it, not just all the products laid out.
Yep.
Lush.
Lux.
Lush or Lux?
Let's go. Let's go with Lush.
Yeah, either way. I hope it's both. But yeah, just the fact that, the person can see physically, okay, that is what my friend or my mum or whoever my client is going to see when they receive it. So I go with, our key things really are luxury, like a high quality aesthetic, and then also I'm using a bit more in our messaging now, our experience, because we've been established for 5-6 years now. We've got our presence in 2 locations, so that starts to build a little bit of our brand as well, where we're not just the newest gift box company on the block. We're sort of been around for some time and have that credibility.
Sure. That sounds excellent. And what have been the biggest challenges for you as you've started and grown Ginger Bee?
The quick growth, like sort of being thrown in with...
Good problem to have.
It is. I mean, it's still, when you've got a bricks and mortar store, there's all the overheads and all those things, which is why so many people go into e-commerce instead. So those are ongoing challenges, and then having to have a team as well. So going from doing it yourself and being able to manage every single detail, and then having to sort of let go and delegate a little bit more is challenging when you've done it all yourself. And then also wearing all the hats. So as you do grow and there's so many things you have to look after, that's been a challenge too. Doing it with a very young family has been extremely challenging. But I know it's a story for a lot of people. So, there's a network of people out there that you can tap into that are in the same boat. But it also, I think, helps keep your focus too, because you sort of invest so much in it on a personal level too, that it actually keeps you really committed and all your heart and soul goes into it. So that's where that success comes from.
And in terms of focus, where is your focus increased in the business now that you have some people, some staff supporting you in other areas? Where have you switched your focus to?
So it's actually focused to what we're talking about tonight. So very much sort of in my forward planning.
I did not know that either.
No.
I didn't rehearse that question.
It was like that anyway. So because it is now sort of, I opened the second shop last year and it's just starting to sort of settle in, and now it's like, okay, well, really where we're going to leverage from, you can kind of get a bit of a gauge of what you're going to do in both stores, but where I can really leverage now is really building the online sales. So, and that's something that's can be leveraged without needing extra team. It's just sort of investing in more the digital strategy side of things.
And does that mean more growth outside of Perth and WA and focusing on the whole country, which you can reach with the site?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Especially since we have so many WA local products, that's something that a lot of people are keen to tap into. So that's a point of difference as well.
Yeah. And what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for all the other merchants in the room who might be experiencing similar challenges around growth or expansion or just getting to grips with digital marketing and what they do outside of their potential comfort zone?
Probably the main one that I think is just trying to stay true to why you first started it, what you believe in, what you're passionate about, and your point of difference. Like, there's a sea of people out there and in any industry and, in social media and everything, and it can be very overwhelming and sometimes it can, set you off your path a little bit. So it's important to just go, what are my strengths, and just really stick with those. And they might refine a bit over time, but...
how is there room for another gift box?
That's the thing, yeah.
You should try being a digital agency.
Yeah, but the thing is too, when I first started... there wasn't anyone in the marketplace in Perth doing the style of gifting I was doing. There's been a bit of an explosion since, but it's kind of finding that niche, but then also just sticking with your strengths, because there's room for everybody. It's just everyone's got that point of difference. So people need to find, I'm talking like I'm an expert, I'm always trying to figure out how to deliver this effectively, but just so that when people find you, they go, oh, that's my style, that's what I like, that's what I believe in, so I'm going to shop with them. So,
finding a niche and sticking in that niche.
Yeah.
And you mentioned when we spoke on the phone something about documenting your journey, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, it's only because it's coming about now, so I sort of think it can be quite relevant to maybe keep a little bit of a timeline of your own journey and even have photos and things to document it, because you kind of arrive at a point where you're like, I actually do have a story now. I've got a story behind my business, and that could be marketable as well. And I'm finding that there's little tidbits of my story now that people like to hear. So I think it's good to maybe sort of, even if you're in the baby stages of your business, just to maybe just think about that, to be able to reflect back, because sometimes, you think, oh, was that, in October, or was it in 2015, or when did that happen, and you might not have that timeline.
Yeah, and having that story gives you authenticity and gives a human idea to the business as well, which can be difficult to achieve when everything's happening online, even though that's not the case with you. And in terms of your planning and with Ginger Bee, with digital marketing strategies, what are you sort of looking forward to doing in the next 6 to 12 months plus and expanding upon?
So really growing our second shop's in Wembley, growing that business, and then predominantly building our corporate client base and our online business. That's where I really want to grow. So building our team such that I can kind of step out a little and start to work on those bigger picture concepts. We've got a couple of other things up our sleeve.
And any specific strategies for digital, like for things that you'll try to do more of?
Digital-wise, definitely, pretty much everything that was covered from Bonfires. So,
there you go. Alex, meet Bianca.
Might be a next client. SEO is something I haven't put any time or energy into, but people are still finding us, so it'd be good to go into that and work out, well, how are they finding us? And then really want to do a bit of targeting, sort of advertising, or targeting people through social media to get those key demographics, because our gifts cover baby products, they cover corporate hampers, they cover just a nice gift for a wedding anniversary. It's so broad that you could kind of tap into all those different little markets and key get into each of those and grow each one.
All right.
So,
that's
sorry,
awesome.
I've babbled on.
Not at all. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing the Ginger Bee story. It's been great to meet you tonight, and we all wish you all the very best with it. And I hope the guys in the audience who might be in similar positions or similar businesses have learnt something from your story. So please thank Bianca for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Well done.